Hey everyone, Paul with Sons of Speed. I'm with our pro race driver today, Camden Murphy, who's able to join us in his schedule, which we always appreciate. Hey Camden, how you doing?
How we doing? Always a lot of fun to join you guys, and yeah, I mean, I'm glad to be here back at Gingerman, driving another fun car.
Yes, we are in the 2021 Ford Mustang Mach 1. Now, this is an interesting vehicle because this is sort of the replacement of the 350 and 350R.
Yeah, and you know, you're always curious on what are they going to do differently? What's going to change? What's going to be better, right? They're always trying to innovate. And that's what we're here today for, and trying to figure out what they changed and what they really kind of worked on, tried to refine when it comes to on track.
Yeah, so already, I mean, the horsepower numbers are down.
Sure. Right off the bat.
We were at 526 in the 350, now we're at 480, okay? However, the torque, this is interesting, it gets interesting, the torque on the 350 was at 429, and this is 420.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're kind of there when it comes to torque. So, you know, other refinements, I think the 350 was a little bit more track orientated than this. But you know, what do you think?
I actually 100% agree. Yeah, it's interesting when you see a torque number basically the same when you have, well, you know, close to, well, not really 100 horsepower less, but, you know, just to exaggerate maybe a little bit, right? But it's just a significant amount.
46 horsepower less.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what you're saying, you know, but it's from a race car driver's perspective, that's 100 horsepower. So, you know, when you come down to that aspect of things, you know, less horsepower, more torque, you know, really you're still losing something somewhere.
Yeah. Because
you have less power. So, yeah, it's great coming off the line hard, but, you know, when you're on track, yeah, you got to get up out of the corners, but you got to be able to manage that power, but it's nice when that power band stays there and stays consistent all the way down the straightaway.
Now, one thing we have to note is the 350 and 350R were only manual. Okay, this one here, you actually have the option. And as unfortunate as it turned out, the press car that we got was the 10-speed automatic. So already, and I know race car driver, you got to have your manual, I get it. But in a non-biased opinion, how's the 10-speed doing?
Well, you know, it's not too bad. However, there's moments where between each gear is really not much of a difference. You know, there's only maybe a few hundred RPMs, which on track sometimes can be helpful, sometimes not. That few hundred RPMs really, you know,
also when you have 10 gears,
yeah,
I mean, how much can you space them between?
There's so much there. You know, you're not going to use all 10 on track for the most part. Obviously, the car is going to want to do a lot of the shifting itself. Kind of already noticed that it doesn't really downshift early enough like you'd like to. You know, it downshifts a little later than you'd really want. And you'd like to start kind of using the downshifts to help you slow down. And yeah, having 10 of them, you got more of them. But at the same time, you're not really going to use
Well, the other thing is, I mean, let's face it, the computers today have gotten the automatic transmissions kind of down to a science, where actually the whole you can control it is kind of redundant because you're almost better off just leaving the computer shift for you.
Exactly.
And the other thing is, when you have 10 gears, you kind of get lost. Like, what gear are you in? Like, is it going to be worth shifting here or not? You know,
exactly. You know, obviously, you know, the Porsches and the PDK is the most refined. From my experience when it comes to, you know, paddle shifts and stuff like that. But you know, the Mustang, it just like you said, you get lost. You got 10 gears, and quite truthfully, you know, a lot of cars nowadays don't have great gear indicators. There's not a large number there that you can kind of keep track of.
This actually is pretty good.
And here, it's huge.
Yeah.
So that is kind of the trade-off, you could almost say, right? It's got a large gear indicator, and you've got the 10 gears, but there's so much to keep track of.
Yeah.
And you know, as a driver myself, obviously, you know, it becomes more of a kind of a second nature for someone like myself or other pro drivers. But you know, for the amateur on the track days, that's a lot to handle. And granted, yeah, you let the car do it, but
yeah, it sounds like you're almost better off just putting it in sport.
Just leave the car and let it do its thing.
And let it drive.
Yeah, exactly.
This car comes with the Pilot 4S's, Michelin Pilot 4S's. How does that feel?
So 4S's, I've always been a fan of the Cubs. of the Cubs.
Sure.
Obviously, it's kind of in a different realm. It's you know, it's not really like the 4S. They're really not kind of on the same level in a sense. But
well, you have a semi R compound versus
exactly
more of a street tire.
Truthfully, I will say the Pilots are a great tire. I mean, they are.
Yeah.
It's just, have I always been a fan of them? Well, yeah. Let's go to the Cup. Let's make it
I mean,
a little
obviously,
better, right?
if you want to get your best track times,
you gotta go to the Cup.
Exactly.
Yeah. But truthfully, they really are great. They don't banana peel a whole lot unless you're driving the car super, super hard on track. But overall, I mean, you know,
and they're great in the wet. So
they're great in the wet.
They're
That's
great
right.
street tire.
That's what that's what I was about to lead into. Is they're great in the wet. So it's kind of that great compound of drapes on the street, great on the track. It's that good little balance of you know, a little more of a, I guess you could call it, economical tire versus going to a Cup one as well.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to get out of the car, so you have free reign, my friend, to do your just best lap time possible, because we really want to see what we can do in this car.
Well, I'm going to hold your word to that one. Right? I'm going to hold your word to it. I'll see what I can do. We'll definitely try to put the best lap down. Hopefully no traffic or anything like that.
Yes, you're going to have some traffic, unfortunately, but hopefully we'll get something clean.
Oh, we'll get something in there. We'll get a good, nice, hard lap down. We'll get a good idea what this car can do, and we'll give you guys some great feedback. So
yep, and then we'll get back together and get our final thoughts.
Final thought. I look forward to it.
Okay.
I look forward to it. So this car, honestly, you know, after most American cars have a ton of understeer, Ford did a really, really great job at getting the understeer out of a really heavy American car. Always gets a lot of nose push, but you can just kind of give it a little throttle and it squats and starts to come around and gets around the corner nice and smooth. The one thing I always just really don't like about this car though is the braking. Inconsistency in the pedal can be quite frustrating. So we'll see if we can put down ourselves a nice good lap here, and let's give her all we got here. See what we can do out of it. Bone stock car, stock brakes, stock tires. Let's give it a go. Car's talking to me right now. I don't want what you're trying to sell me. I'm trying to go fast.
So Cam, you just finished your hot lap. What do you think?
You know, this car is an absolute blast. You know, like most American muscle cars that I've kind of said before, are usually heavy, bulky, and have a ton of understeer. Don't stop either. And honestly, Mustangs always kind of did it right. When it comes to the braking power in this car though, that's about the only thing I dislike about it. Inconsistency in the brake pedal. One time it might be like a real rock hard pedal, like a racing pedal, and the next it might be soft. That in itself is kind of unsettling, but it is what it is. When it comes to the handling, again, Ford does an amazing job when it comes to these Mustangs. Less understeer than most muscle cars, so did an amazing job there. Putting the power down, not much of an issue either.
And you got a lap time of 143.9. And off camera, you were saying you think there might be a little bit more in it?
I think so, yeah. No, I think there's at least about a half to 3/4 more of a second in it. But compared to the 350R, it's really not too far off of it. Less horsepower, less torque.
Okay, so the ultimate question is this a suitable replacement for the GT350 and GT350R?
Well, usually when most manufacturers come out with the next cars that has more horsepower, more torque, and when it's over, it's a predecessor to the last one, well, it's less.
I know.
So, it's still a great car. Don't get me wrong, it is a fantastic car. Is it a great replacement? It's a good replacement. Great? Far-fetched. Good replacement for sure.
Okay, and with that note, Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. A big thank you to CGI Motorsports for letting us have the track day here today. And please hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.